Good morning, San Diego. Hope everybody's having a good morning. If you're just waking up here in America's finest city, a beautiful, crisp spring morning. I'm going to mute myself over there. Got up this morning, not a single cloud in the sky. It's great. After a little bit of rain yesterday, I had to sit through a rain delay for Padres and Dodgers. And the last time you had to sit through a Padres and Dodgers rain delay up at Dodger Stadium. It's beautiful outside, a little crisp in terms of the weather. Green everywhere due to all the rain we've had during the wintertime, but it's a great day and a great morning to start and get you ready for Padres baseball coming up this evening. Sunday night baseball, Padres and Dodgers, the rubber match on a Sunday at Chavez Ravine up in Los Angeles. Padres took game one in a thriller in extra innings. That was a hell of a game on Friday night. And we're going to get into this just in a little bit, but about the Padres and the difference between 2023 and 2024. We have seen some signs of 2023 this season, but Friday night was a prime example of what the Padres should be able to do and what the Padres need to do moving forward. And that is never really being out of a game because their offense can continue to put up runs. We saw that on Friday, saw that a little bit yesterday, but yesterday's game, and we're going to get into it, and we're going to hear some sound from Mike Schilt. Yesterday's game was a lot of mistakes by the San Diego Padres, and you can't make mistakes against the Los Angeles Dodgers and expect to win. And I think the Padres have done a great job competing against the Dodgers this year. Because in previous years, we've seen those games get really out of hand. We've seen the Padres get absolutely smoked by the Los Angeles Dodgers, even teams that are very talented. And you go, what is going on? Why is this happening? How is this happening? But the Padres team is feeling a lot like the San Diego Padres team from a couple of years ago that did the same thing against the Dodgers and came back from a lot of runs down. They did it on Sunday Night Baseball in 2021. That team had a lot of players, especially at the beginning of the year, and then near the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, before it all fell apart and the starting rotation all found their way on the injured list. That team you can never count out. You thought every single inning they could put up runs, and right now I'm starting to feel that with the way that the Padres have been competing this week. Obviously, with the major comeback on Monday against the Cubs, they did all of that in one inning, which is a little bit different than what they did on Friday night. But then Friday night's game, I was watching Friday night's game with a couple of buddies. We went out to a bar after they went to the UC Irvine, UC San Diego baseball game, and we're watching the game, and I'm waiting for them to show up. Got a table at the bar or whatever. And the Padres jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Manny Machado with a 2-run shot. And I'm like, that's a great way to start in Los Angeles. And then Shohei Ohtani hits a ball in the other batter's box opposite field for a home run. It's 2-1. And then the Padres answer again. They get another home run at a Ha-Seong Kim, and it's 3-1. And then you got the usual Padres collapse, Dodgers jump on you. And then you're looking at a 7-3 deficit. And you know how that game finishes. It's like 11-5 in favor of the Dodgers, right? That's what's been the case the last couple of years. Friday night, the Padres were resilient and they battled back. They had guys have some selfless at-bats. They had contributions from the bottom of the order. They didn't have automatic outs down there. And it led to putting a couple of guys on for your best hitter in Fernando Tatis Jr. to tie the game with one swing of the bat. I mean, how much do you love the fact that Fernando Tatis Jr. owns Dodger Stadium? I mean, Dodger fans would be like, well, we still beat you. Yeah, whatever. Fernando Tatis Jr. owns that stadium. He is so comfortable hitting there. It's ridiculous. Padres fans love the fact that they got a Dodger killer in their lineup and a Dodger killer at Dodger Stadium. They have to be just absolutely trembling every time Fernando comes to bat at Dodger Stadium, especially in a big spot. It's got to be the situation where Dodgers fans just think, oh, here we go again. Here's Fernando. As many times as Padres fans have had to deal with Dodgers that destroy them all the time, and Mookie Betts is starting to be one of those players. He's really good in general. I guess most of the time it's usually the Dodgers' bottom half of the order that does damage against the Padres, but nonetheless, the fact that the Dodgers fans have to deal with with Fernando Tatis Jr. is great. I love how great his numbers are at Dodger Stadium. But he comes up and he ties the game at 7. And then the Padres, top of the ninth, they leave guys on. You know, the top of the order's coming up for Los Angeles, and you're like, oh, well, that was fun while it lasted. Time to move on. But that wasn't the case. Tom Cosgrove owns Shohei Ohtani, apparently. He's 0 for 5 against Tom all time. So the Padres get out of the inning. They get out of the ninth, go to extras. Don't do anything in the top of the 10th. Unbelievable. You're that again, like, there's no way you're going to keep the Dodgers at bay for another inning. And sure enough, they did. And then the 11th, with 2 outs, it's the rookie Jackson Merrill hitting one right where the shortstop should be standing, but he's playing up near the bag because Merrill's a lefty, punches one through, scores Azekar from second, take a 1-run lead. Padres shut it down in the 11th, and they steal a game in Los Angeles, which is great. And we've talked about it on the talk show with Andy and Elston about how, as much as to us fans, this Padres-Dodgers rivalry is obviously a thing of pride and meaning, at the end of the day, we know that the Dodgers are probably going to be in the playoffs. We know they're going to go on a huge run at some point in time. We know that they're probably going to run away with the division. And I'm not saying you're not playing for the division, but as we learned in 2022, it doesn't really matter if you win the division or not. That's just kind of for fun bragging rights. I mean, the Dodgers can hang all their division banners that they want, but they haven't won a World Series since what, 1982? 1990? 1990? Can't remember. Cool, they won a 60-game season World Series. You even ask Dodger fans that. They're starting to get a little bit nervous about being the team that only wins it during a shortened season. You know that bothers them. You know, when they won that World Series, they thought, we finally did it. We finally won a World Series. Yes, it counts, which it would have counted for us, right? But at the same time, they thought probably they would win a couple more after that, and they haven't yet. And so it's kind of funny that the only time that they've won a World Series since 88 has been in a season where you only played 60 games. You barely played a college baseball season. You won a tournament in Omaha. Congratulations. It just happened to be in Arlington, Texas instead. But these games with the Dodgers don't really matter. The games with the Rockies matter a little bit more. The games against the Diamondbacks matter a little bit more. The games against the Giants matter a little bit more. And you're hoping the Dodgers can beat up on all those teams. So anytime you can steal one from LA, that is a huge, huge win for the Padres. If they could get another one tonight and take 2 out of 3 from LA in LA for the second straight time, may I add, Padres would be in really good shape. We talked about kind of the beginning part of the season for this San Diego Padres team. They have a very difficult schedule. It's very difficult in the sense that you're playing a lot of good teams early on in the season, and you just kind of have to tread water. I mean, the only real break that you thought maybe you would have was coming up against Milwaukee, but they're 10-3. Milwaukee's off to a great start, despite losing their manager, despite not really making any big free agent pickups, despite losing some starting pitchers. They're 10-3. And the Padres got to deal with them tomorrow through Wednesday. And then you welcome Toronto, who's off to a little bit of a shaky start for their standards, but a talented team. You got to break with the Colorado Rockies for 4 games, but we all know how difficult it is to win in Colorado for any team in the division because of the chaos that is Coors Field. Then you have the Philadelphia Phillies, who have gone to the NLCS the last 2 years, and you have the young red-hot Reds. Well, I know they're taking it to the Chicago White Sox, who might be the worst team in baseball right now, but that's another good team. That's the first month of the year. And then in May, you got the Diamondbacks who went to the World Series last year. You got the Chicago Cubs on the road who you just played, who are off to a good start. Dodgers again, then the Rockies. Then you go to Atlanta and Cincinnati. You welcome the Yankees, and you finally got a break on Memorial Day against the Miami Marlins. If the Padres can make it through that first stretch around 500, they're going to be in a really good spot. As dumb as that might sound. Because the reality is for baseball, just in simple math, is most teams, and look at the trends. Look at most teams in Major League Baseball. They play about 500 ball, and then they go on a winning streak of some kind. Those are teams that make the playoffs. Teams that end up not making the playoffs play 500 ball and then go on long losing streaks. And if they're really bad like the White Sox, they do that multiple times in a season. So right now, these games, as much as last night obviously was a little frustrating, and the Padres last night, I mean, they almost gave that game away with their shoddy defense. I mean, the Padres defense to this point has not been very good on many different levels. And I think a lot of it's not just errors, because Hassan Kim is playing uncharacteristic baseball right now defensively. But you got guys in spots that aren't making plays where other guys could probably make plays. It's not Tyler Wade's fault he's not Manny Machado. But that's obviously a major problem at third base, which led to second base. I mean, Tyler Wade is Tyler Wade. I think he's doing, for what he is, I think he's doing a pretty good job. It's not he's playing to the best of his ability right now. And I think he's doing a pretty good job contributing offensively. But defensively, Tyler Wade is a major liability out there. Lack of range, not necessarily making some plays that he should be making. I don't think you really appreciate Manny Machado. And I know we all think he's one of the best fielders, and he is. You can't fully appreciate Manny Machado until you have somebody else playing in that spot. There has been probably 4 to 5 plays that Manny probably would have made that Tyler Wade has been unable to make. And that's not Tyler Wade's fault. Tyler Wade is Tyler Wade. He's doing the best that he can. And I think he is doing a great job contributing. I mean, he did it last night again with a couple of knocks. Or at least one. Then he steals a base, even though that was close. He's finding ways to contribute offensively. But defensively, I mean, that hasn't been very good. Hassan Kim's been atrocious defensively. Xander Bogaerts, even though I don't really mind him playing second base, I'd probably still rather have him be a shortstop since you signed him up to be a shortstop. Hassan Kim is still technically the best shortstop on the team. But Xander's made some errors at second. Fernando's made some errors in the outfield. I mean, the throw last night, that play last night to give the Dodgers an extra run to make it 5-2 was insane. The circus came to town late in the game. I mean, the back throw into first goes off the bag, rolls all the way to the backstop. Circus. That was like the San Diego Zoo was hosting the circus. That was so bad. Defensively for the Padres, they killed themselves against the Dodgers. They were just giving away runs. It was like, I tweeted this out, it was like an Oprah special. You get a run, you get a run, you get a run. You can't play like that and expect to beat a good team like Los Angeles. You can't play like that and beat the Braves. You can't play like that and beat the Phillies. And this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you play like that, you're probably not going to beat the Brewers either. They definitely have to shore that up. But I liked the fight last night. I really liked the fight of the Padres offensively. I thought it was good defensively. They gave them the runs. I thought Matt Waldron pitched really well. That was a big surprise. He's continuing to do pretty well. I mean, his lack of velocity and throwing below the hitting speed is really giving guys some trouble. Cardinals jumped on his knuckleball, but the adjustment that Waldron has made, and especially the catching staff of Sullivan and Higashioka and Luis Camposano, when they talked about it on the TV broadcast about making sure that you don't show that pitch too often and find ways to get some ground ball outs with his sweeper, with his fastball, not that high velocity guy. And then you can dabble with the knuckleball that really throws him off. And if they could do that, then Matt Waldron will be in a pretty good spot. But I'm going to need some more starts out of him before I could, crown him as a Cy Young. But that was a great outing last night. Kept the team in the game. Padres are getting perfect game through 5, and they found ways to get some hits, and they strung some hits together. They didn't roll over and die, which I thought was great. But there's no such thing as a moral victory. No such thing as a moral victory. So you take the L last night. You're now 2-2 against the Dodgers on the season, and you try to get win number 3 tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. It'd be great to win tonight because it's on national television. Show everybody that the Padres are still around and still thriving down here in Southern California. We're going to talk a lot about last night's game. We're going to go into it a little bit more. How about this scuffle at home plate with Profar and Will Smith? I wouldn't put it past Profar to just kind of almost like in hockey when you get into a fight on purpose just to get the benches going, get everybody fired up. That's what that seemed like to me. I mean, there's no way Jerks and Profar, he even said it after the game. There's no way he thought he was going to get intentionally hit when the guy had a perfect game. Are you kidding me? But I agree with Profar, man. Don't let Will Smith talk smack to you. Don't let Will Smith, who looks like a character from a cartoon show, talk smack to you, Profar. I appreciate that. I love it. One more thing about that scuffle. Why did the bullpens empty, by the way? I find it so hilarious for any type of, I'm going to call it a conflict, because in baseball, they're not really fights. They're more like disagreements or conflicts. Why does the bullpen have to run from the outfield? Who cares? By the time you get there, the problem will resolve itself anyway. Plus, we all know you're pitchers. You're not doing any damage anyway. Just stay in the bullpen or just go fight the other bullpen. I think it'd be better if both bullpens just ran at each other. That would be hilarious. At Chavez Ravine, that's a big run. You're basically running pulls. But at Petco Park, they're right next to each other. Just have the opposing team bullpen, have the players jump into the Padres bullpen or vice versa. Start another brawl. It's like hockey. Everybody's got their own little fights. If you want to be part of the fight, pitchers and bullpens, just go fight each other for no reason. Just like, oh, they're fighting, we're going to fight. I like the chippiness. It ended up working out for the Padres. They got some runs out of it after that. Threw Gavin Stone off his game a little bit, so a little bit of gamesmanship. Will Smith, after the fact, called Profar irrelevant. It's a petty BS comments, dude. Just keep it to yourself. I'm for the fireworks, though. I'm for the fireworks. I'm going to talk more about last night's game. We're going to play some sound from Mike Schilt when we come back. Padres lost to the Dodgers last night, 5-2. We're going to come back with some Padres talk. We also got some other things. I do want to talk about Brian Kenny being dumb. Brian Kenny says some dumb stuff. He says some dumb stuff all the time. What did he say about the Padres this time? I'll talk about that at 9. I'll talk about the big difference between last year and this year that we've seen. And we're going to buy ourselves some overreactions after 2 weeks of baseball. Chicago White Sox to be the worst team in baseball since the Mets from a long time ago. It's very possible. Are the Pirates going to win the Central? I could buy that. We'll have more of those that we could overreact to at 8:30. We got 2 weeks of baseball in the books. Padres right now, 1 game under 500, trying to get back to the 500 mark and beat the Dodgers. Potentially take 2 out of 3 from LA. That's coming up later tonight. When we come back, we'll hear from what Mike Schilt had to say after yesterday's game. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 8:25 on a Sunday morning. Thanks for making your morning, or thanks for making our morning a part of your morning. Beautiful Sunday morning in America's finest city. The rain is gone. Hopefully, the chilly weather is gone. Sun should be coming out today. Should be a beautiful day here. I don't even see any clouds out here in Serra Mesa, but I do see a lot of green. I love when San Diego's green and everything is green. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but like growing up here in San Diego, it was very rare when things were green all the time. When you get a lot of rain, I mean, the last couple of winters we have been so blessed with rain that everything is just gorgeous. California, everything green everywhere. All the hillsides are covered in green. It's not dead shrubbery yet and brush. And I know with all the green comes fires potentially and fire, but I think we've done a pretty good job with fire safety. Hopefully, we continue that here in San Diego. But beautiful morning, beautiful crisp spring morning. We slowly start making our way to the summertime, especially with some Padres baseball. We got Padres baseball coming up at what time does ESPN's game start? Like 4 something? 4:10. Game's on Sunday Night Baseball at 4:10. You can hear the game right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Pre-game show with Sam Levitt at 3:10. And then Tony Gwynn Jr. and Jesse Agler will take the reins at 4:10. Do you want to get your phone calls today? 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Our guy, Oscar from Camp Pendleton, called in earlier, and he was trying to watch the UFC fights last night, but also hoping that a UFC 300 busted out last night at Dodger Stadium with the Padres and Dodgers. Oscar, good morning to you.
Oh, that's right, bro. Good morning. Buenos dias. Yeah. Man, dude, that pitcher was throwing a little bit too inside. Man, I'm sure Perfo thought he was going to get hit. You can see it too with Tatis. So, I was thinking, why get these guys that we got that are pros, that are high dollar, that are very valuable to our team? Why don't you just get a goon out there, guy that wants to make good money, work for a living, and take one for the team, and just knows how to fight and knock someone's block off. That's what I really wanted to see last night. I wanted to see someone take off somebody's head from the Dodgers and just go at it. It would have been so nice. It would have been so sweet. I mean, yeah, we would have lost, but at least we got some respect out of it,
Oscar, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks again. Oscar's looking for a goon squad guy from a hockey team. Go out there and drop gloves when the game starts today. Wouldn't it be funny if the Padres, like the last minute, like in Major League Baseball, anytime that the other team pissed you off, you just send some random dude out there to pitch to start the next game. You scratch whoever's starting that day and you throw out your goon pitcher. And he doesn't even throw out the guy. He just, before he even throws a pitch, he just like yells at the leadoff guy and they just start a fight like you would see in hockey. Like you saw in the Rangers, was that the Rangers game the other day? Where they just dropped gloves immediately and started fighting to start the game. Baseball fights don't do it for me because I think it's a lot of like fake tough guy stuff all the time. Like, oh, I would totally kick your ass. No, I'd kick your ass. And then nothing ever happens. It's very rare that you get an actual brawl. The only one that really sticks out to me, there's a couple. There's the one that involves Nolan Ryan where he puts the guy in a headlock and starts, punch him in the face. But the other one to me that's like the big brawl is that old school Padres Braves one. That's a brawl right there. That's a for sure baseball brawl. But I'll tell you what, if you want to get rid of these bench clears, let them fight one time. I guarantee you they'd stop. You let two teams just go at it in a benches clearing brawl. Don't try to break it up. I guarantee you they'd stop fighting. It would end baseball fights real quick. I mean, some dude would get hurt. He'd be out for a long time on the IL. He'd have suspension. I mean, they would literally stop fighting that day if you just let them go at it. But I like the chippiness Padres Dodgers. I like it. I think, growing up, it was always like the Dodgers and the Giants were like that. And the intensity in the games were like that. Now it's Padres Dodgers, which is great. And I like to see that continue, obviously. No need to see anybody getting hit by a pitch, though. And that's the thing that makes it super lame. It's like, if you're a pitcher, don't tell me you're some tough guy because you throw a fastball at a dude's face. Like Joe Kelly thinks he's super tough like that. It's, at least, I can't even remember. When he threw at the Astros and he made that little pouty face, which I thought was kind of funny, Did he even get involved in the fight? I can't remember. But if you're a pitcher, you're not some tough guy because you throw a ball at a guy's head when you know that guy can't do anything about it. How about you stand in the box? That was the good part about having pitchers hit, is it held them accountable on doing some BS like throwing at somebody's head. You want to see nobody throw it for Fernando? Let the pitchers hit again. There's no way. Instead of plucking their best player, you can just pluck their pitcher. Those guys don't want to get hit. That's why they're pitchers. Unbelievable. I thought the comments from Will Smith last night were kind of ridiculous, too. It's like, well, he's a nothing. I hope Jerickson Profar kicks their ass today. I'm really hoping for it. Well, that's a good one, too. And Carlos Quentin broke Greinke's collarbone. A comment in the chat from Jake. Carlos Quentin, Uni Don, played high school football. A dude could hit. And Zach Greinke learned that the hard way when he got his ass kicked. Carlos Quentin charged the mound and tackled him. That was a great form tackle, too. Bam, shoulder, dropped him. Wasn't necessarily fun for Zach Greinke anymore. Has he hit anybody since, thinking he's tough? I mean, any ball that you get hit by Zach Greinke, it feels like a pillow probably hit you at this point with the way he throws the ball. He's more of a crafty guy now. But enough with the fights in baseball. It's kind of ridiculous. Mike Schill had some comments on it last night. Here's what he had to say about the incident with Profar and Will Smith.
Obviously, I went at the plate, but guys running ball in, made a pitch, aggressive baseball pitch. I don't know what was said, but you don't have to like that, or should Pro like it. And if he had something to say, then I support him completely. And listen, it's part of the game, but take exception to a guy running something in on you tight. I think he maybe said something, and maybe something was said back. I'm not really sure, but we're not going to start anything, but we're not going to take anything.
Coincidentally or not, the next day is when you guys broke through against Stone. Did that provide you guys any sort of spark? Do you think it was just kind of coincidence?
Who's to say? I mean, we've competed our tails off the whole year, and us being able to get a run against him didn't surprise me one way or the other.
Schilt, who's to say? I didn't want to admit that the fight gave him a spark, because then people would freak out anytime the Padres would get a little hissy, if you will. I don't mind Jerickson Profar getting upset about that. I obviously he wasn't getting thrown at, really. They weren't trying to hit him, but obviously with Will Smith saying something, Profar's not going to back down. He didn't take anybody's crap. We've seen that with the Dodgers multiple times with the Padres. When Jerickson Profar was a Padre, he didn't take the Dodgers crap, and I love that. You need guys like that. Need guys like that in your corner. Loved it. It's a little bit of a spark. Didn't work out for the Padres in the end goal, but you know what? It was all right. A couple other sound bites I want to play from Mike Schilt before we move on, especially with Jackson Merrill hitting leadoff. Different spot for him yesterday. How did he do, according to the skipper?
I thought he took good at bats. First three bats were good. Line drive single to right. I thought he took the same at bats he's been taking, just quality at bats. I don't think it's going to matter to him where he hits in the lineup necessarily, but he took good at bats and did his job.
He did. He did take some good at bats and do his job. I still prefer him in the 9 spot, just to make him feel comfortable and not put extra pressure on the 20-year-old and just let him do his thing, especially in his rookie season. I thought he's done a great job down there, but a good job last night, and we'll see if the Padres decide to do that again tonight with Jackson Merrill. Ha-Seong Kim has struggled early this season. Here's what Mike Schilt had to say about Ha-Seong Kim's struggles.
I don't want to make it anything bigger than it is. The guy just went and made a tremendous play right after that. So, I really am not concerned about it. I think people are going to make it bigger than. Look, you can't deny the fact he's hadn't made some plays. I mean, he wouldn't deny that. No one's going to deny it. But like I said, I don't want to make anything bigger than it is. The guy's also helping us win baseball games.
I agree. Here's the thing with Ha-Seong Kim and his slow start. I mean, I had people texting me saying, when are we moving Kim back to second and Bogarts to shortstop? They're not going to do that. Are you kidding me? They're not going to go at the beginning of spring training and be like, Kim's our shortstop. And then, how many games are we in? 16, 17? 17 games in. Even if it's 20 games in, which I know they haven't played 20 games yet. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm going to move him back. You kidding me? Come on. He hasn't been good. He hasn't been good. He hasn't really been good at the plate. He definitely hasn't been good defensively, especially to his standards and to the standards of Hassan Kim. It's not a good start for Kim, but you're not going to move him. He has the track record that he is one of the best defensive players in Major League Baseball. He won a Gold Glove last year. You got to keep throwing him out there and let him figure it out on his own. And as Mike Schill pointed out, despite him booting that one ball before, he makes a diving catch to end the inning. A catch that Xander Bogaerts was not going to make if he was playing shortstop. Has Hassan Kim been bad defensively? Yes. Are you going to move him from shortstop? Absolutely not. So don't even put that thought in your mind. You would have to have 2 to 3 months of Kim being a circus at shortstop for you to even consider moving him out of shortstop. They've made their decision. They have to stick with it. Otherwise, they're going to look awful in general. But I don't think it's that big of a problem. He's off to a bad start. It happens. He was off to a good start. Matt Waldron. This will be the last clip we play from skipper Mike Schilt talking about Matt Waldron's outing yesterday.
Yeah, I see a guy battled his tail off for 5 innings. Was able to make pitches when he had to, had traffic, multiple innings, and I love the competitive spirit. I love the fact he just continued to make pitches and didn't give in to anything and left some guys out there and left with, down 1 and we scored. And, the biggest thing, we just couldn't get the shutdown inning after we scored. Weren't able to do that. And it's not been something we've been able to do as consistent as we'd like. But Matt gave us more than a chance to stay in the game and win the game.
He did. He has done his job throughout the season in giving his team an opportunity to win and grinding out innings. I mean, even when the Cardinals tagged him, he did not look good against the Cardinals. He went out there and gave you as many innings as he possibly could to save the bullpen. He gets soft contact. He gets rollover ground balls. Didn't give up any long balls. Did a fantastic job. Kept his offense in the game. His defense didn't really help him out that much. I mean, yesterday was totally on the defense. Defense was not good yesterday. Defense has not been good all season. It needs to change, especially against a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers. We're 2 weeks into the baseball season. I do want to focus on some other teams for a little bit and kind of give you some overreactions to the first 2 weeks of Major League Baseball, whether or not I'm buying them or selling them. We'll talk about that next on the Braden Surprenant Show right here, live and local, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This used to be the Sunday Night Baseball song. A little AJR. Way less sad. Definitely way less sad on a Sunday morning. Beautiful Sunday morning out there in America's finest city. Thanks for making our morning a part of your morning. Whether you're driving to church, going to breakfast, going to some youth sporting events, some youth baseball, travel ball, softball, whatever it may be. Shout out to all the guys in the men's D tournament for softball up in Paris. Maybe driving up there to play some games. Shout out to the San Diego Maulers playing today. My guys from the Poway Sportsplex in the D's tournament. Shout out to Locked and Loaded yesterday. Didn't get to play with them. I had to work, but I think they did a pretty good job for their tournament. Shout out 7 on. We got 7-on-7 today too, Nate. I guess there's a football clinic today, but there's also I know the Dons are playing in the 7-on-7 tournament up in San Marcos. They're going to be there at 9, so maybe some of my kids are listening to me on the way up there. Go kick some ass today, boys. I will not be there. An impromptu 7-on-7 tournament or whatever at San Marcos High School this morning. So wherever you may be throughout San Diego County, whatever you may be doing, thanks again for making our morning a part of yours. We're talking Padres baseball. We're talking baseball in general. A lot of baseball to talk. We're not quite there yet on the high school football 7-on-7 stuff. I'm sure I'll be going to some 7-on-7 things very shortly coming up. San Diego State tournaments usually get going. Spring ball for high school football starts in May. We're a couple of weeks out from that. And I can't believe we're already back into it. Already been here for 7 years coaching high school football. Looking forward to another opportunity with the Dons. Reading all of your, I'm trying to keep pace with all of your chats on YouTube. I know a lot of people are watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a like. Go ahead and give a like on the video. Greatly appreciate it. It helps with, as Annie says, algorithmy things to keep the aggregate going. So a thumbs up on that would be great. 1, 2, 3, press the like button. Follow me on social media at @B_SURP. If you're all watching on YouTube, you can see my handles in the bottom left corner for Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. I also have a TikTok as well at @B_SURP. So hit the like, follow me on all social media platforms, and wherever you find your podcasts, we are posted on all major podcast platforms as well. So if you missed any part of the show and you want to listen to it wherever you may be, you could do so in podcast form also. I do want to talk some about baseball around Major League Baseball, as we have had 2 weeks into the season already. And in these 2 weeks, we have had some hot takes, if you will. And we will react to some hot takes with some overreactions on Major League Baseball. Lots of things have happening so far. I mean, the Houston Astros have gotten out to arguably one of the worst starts ever. Now, their entire starting rotation is not playing, so there's that. And I'm sure a lot of people are not shedding tears for the Houston Astros right now. But that was an interesting start to the season. New York Yankees are off to a hot start, and you got some interesting teams in the Central. Let's get into some of these overreactions for the first 2 weeks of Major League Baseball. According to ESPN staff writers, one of them being Kylie McDaniel and Eric Carabell, a couple of notes, as well as Buster Olney. Here's one take for you. Buster Olney and AJ Mass have two differing takes on the New York Mets. The New York Mets, according to Buster Olney, won't contend again this year or anytime soon. I will buy that. I don't think the New York Mets are very good. Their pitching's not very good. Their overall offense isn't very good. Their defense has made a lot of mistakes. And despite winning as of late, and really since their broadcaster said this is rock bottom on a doubleheader when they're getting their ass kicked and they lost their first 5 games of the season, they have kind of turned it around. They did a pretty good job in Atlanta. I don't think it's sustainable, though. I think they're on a little bit of a hot turn right now. That's what Buster Olney had to say. What we're seeing early this year are red flags that despite carrying the highest payroll in baseball, the Mets may not be competitive this year, but more importantly, also not for years to come. Totally agree with that. Totally agree with Buster Olney. The Mets are going to be bad. AJ Mass has a different opinion. The New York Mets will make the playoffs in 2024, and the New York Yankees will not. I don't know about that. I mean, I think the Yankees are off to a great start. I don't think that's sustainable either. I mean, Nestor Cortez is your ace. I think he's a pretty good pitcher, but he's not your ace. There's no guarantee that Garrett Cole's going to be back, and if he does come back, there's no reason to believe that he's going to be up to his full strength and ready to go. I would put the Yankees at a better opportunity to make the playoffs than the New York Mets. The New York Mets aren't even touching the playoffs in 2024 unless the rest of the National League has a catastrophic finish. Are the Yankees a better team than the Mets? Absolutely, but they also play in a division where, as of April 10th, all 5 teams were at 500 or better, and it's likely to be a tight race all season long. That's a terrible take. The fact that the Mets will make the playoffs because their division is worse and the Yankees will not. The Yankees are better than the Mets. The Yankees are going to make the playoffs over the Mets if I had to pick between the two. Buy or sell, Anthony Volpe will produce more value in his age 23 season than Derek Jeter did. No. I'm going to sell that. In 1997, 23-year-old Derek Jeter, playing his second full season, according to the article on ESPN, splashed 291, 370, 405, a 103 OPS plus, with 116 runs and 190 hits. As about a neutral defender at shortstop, he generated a 5 WAR for the Yankees, and the team finished 96 and 66. Volpe is poised to outperform him this season. Glove at shortstop already plays up, plus 18 career defensive run saves, and his approach at the plate looks dramatically improved. Volpe is making better swing decisions and producing more opposite field contact. He produced a 3.3 WAR in an up-and-down rookie season, a figure he could double as a sophomore. I don't think so. I just think that's a hot start for Anthony Volpe. Even though what he'd have to do is not that impressive. A 103 OPS plus. Here's some interesting takes. Bradford Doolittle, buy or sell. The Detroit Tigers, this is a hot take. The Detroit Tigers will win the AL Central. I'm buying that. I think the Tigers might be the best team in the AL Central. They are playing the best baseball. They're off to the best start. I think they got some great players. They got 4 star players under the age of 25. Spencer Torkelson, Colt Keith, Riley Green, Parker Meadows. They got a good young mix. They got decent pitching. That division is awful. White Sox might be the worst team in baseball. The Guardians are okay. They'll be competitive, but they're not very good. The Royals are off to a really good start, but I'm not really buying in on the Royals, despite them being a little bit, they're definitely going to be better this year than they were last year. And the Minnesota Twins, the Minnesota Twins, they're okay. I'm buying that hot take. Detroit Tigers will win the AL Central. They were not my pick at the beginning part of the season, but I'll buy that. I'll buy that hot take. What about the other Central Division? Buy or sell, the Pittsburgh Pirates will win the NL Central. I'll buy that too. I picked the Cardinals. Cardinals are in last place. Cardinals don't look very good. I'm a little disappointed in the Cardinals. I thought for sure after last season, they wouldn't have another season like that. They're the St. Louis Cardinals. They're a proud organization. They don't have many down years. And they're off to an abysmal start. Still beat the Padres 2 out of 3. But aside from that, they haven't looked very good. And they're in last place. And the Pirates have looked pretty good. We'll see how they do against the Phillies today. If they can win the series in Philadelphia or split, I think it might be a 4-gamer. If they can win today, that'd be a nice step in the right direction for the Pirates. Very young team. O'Neal Cruz, Brian Hayes. They obviously need to stay healthy and need to emerge as legitimate stars, but they got a good supporting group. Brian Reynolds, David Bednar, Mitch Keller, former Padre Jack Sawinski. Pirates aren't bad. I can see the Pirates winning that division. Buy or sell, the White Sox will match the 1962 New York Mets with 120 losses. I buy that. The White Sox are awful. They can't hit. Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert are already down with injuries. There is no end to their offensive futility in sight. They've won 2 freaking games. They stink. They might have 120 losses. Everybody thought the Oakland Athletics would have the worst season this year because they got nothing. Their owner stinks. They're spending no money. They're moving. Embarrassment for the league. They will do a lot better than the White Sox. The White Sox will be the worst team in baseball this year. They might have 120 losses. They are worse than the A's. I mean, the A's took 2 out of 3 for the Rangers this week. Not to say that they can't do it. White Sox are awful. They're awful. Mike Trout will have a 10 more season. I'll buy it. He's looking a lot like former Mike Trout. Angels are actually playing pretty good ball for what they've expected to be. Here's a hot take for you as we're getting a break. Mike Trout won't finish the season with the Angels. Now, is that because he gets hurt? Or is that because he gets traded? I don't know who would take his contract. But never know. I might be able to buy that. White Sox being the worst team? Absolutely. When we come back in the Braden Surprenant show, Brian Kenny said something dumb again. We'll talk about it, especially when he talks about the Padres. Coming up next, hour number 2. Hour number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. Started talking about the national noise that doesn't affect us. And to be quite honest with you, sometimes it's just, sometimes it's out of touch. I mean, today, the guy that I'm interrupting in the middle of his show on whatever it's called now, it's not CBS Sports Radio. It's like Xfinity. I don't know. Can't remember off the top of my head what it's called. But they're talking about the Coyotes. The Coyotes are moving. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. I'm Braden Surprenant. You can follow me on social media at @B_SURP. Be sure to hit the like button, all you on YouTube. I only got like 14 likes. There's like 50 you watching. Takes a simple little punch, and we're good. Add the likes. Phoenix Coyotes are moving. Arizona Coyote, whatever they're called. Arizona wouldn't buy him a stadium. Sounds good to me. You know what? Build your own. I'm a firm believer in that. Build your own. Rich guy, if you're so rich, you'd build your own stadium. Not steal from the public. So the Coyotes are moving, and the guy was like talking about like, well, you know, if the city really wanted him, come on, dude. Get real. Get real. I do have a little bit of a take on that. We'll get to that in a little bit. The Chiefs are threatening to move, which I don't know if that means the Royals are threatening to move. The Coyotes are moving. We know about the Athletics trying to move to Vegas. Don't know if that's going to work out. They might be moving to Salt Lake as well as the Coyotes. I mean, to me, it's like if every city just comes together and be like, we're not building you a stadium or an arena. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? I mean, some small town going to build this gigantic arena or stadium for somebody, and then everything's going to be good? Like, oh, yeah, you know, Boise, Idaho is going to have the Coyotes. No. They're going to make any money up there. Give me a break. If all the cities are like, you know what? We're not buying stadiums anymore. They would have to build it themselves. We are getting closer to that point. Obviously, Salt Lake City already has an arena because the Jazz play there. So the Coyotes are moving to a place that already exists. That's why that's why I keep telling people. San Diego needs an arena anyway. It's not like we're building one for a team. They need one anyway. And Kroenke is working on building one. That's why anybody that says, like, why do we need to build a NBA, NHL-sized arena? Nobody's going to come. Because teams like the Coyotes are going to be moving all the time. Because they can't get one. They're just going to go find some new home that's already built for them. That's why you build it. Eventually they'll come. Like Kansas City has an NBA-sized arena. I wouldn't be shocked if whatever it's called now, I think it used to be called the Sprint Center. I don't think Sprint's around anymore. They host the Big 12 championships. But at some point, some NBA or NHL team is going to want a new arena, and that one's going to be, I guess, to their standard, and they're going to move there. And if it's not, then they're not. But if you build a NBA-sized arena, NHL-sized arena, and it's nice, and it's brand spanking new, all of a sudden some team might show up. This city needs one anyway. So I find a little bit of difference there. But I wouldn't roll one out for a brand new team. I think the same thing would be said about, like, if the NFL wanted to come back to San Diego and they're like, hey, look, we want to come back. We got to build us a stadium. I'd be like, build your own. Go talk to San Diego State. See if you could upgrade the Snappy. We're not building you one. And if we're building you one, we're owning the thing. I mean, I'm curious to see where this leads. Coyotes are going to Salt Lake City. We'll see how that plays out. The Salt Lake City Coyotes. There's like the Utah Jazz. Two names that don't make sense for a state. Salt Lake Bees? Makes sense. Utah Jazz? Where do you get the best jazz music? Oh, definitely in Salt Lake City. Of course. Of course. I digressed on that segment. I got more on that. If we got time, we'll get to it. I want to talk about what dumb thing Brian Kenny said this time. He obviously has something against the Padres. Because this week on MLB Now, we talked about this for a little bit on Friday's show because we saw it. Didn't get to really watch it. And they finally I was waiting for them to post the clip so we could talk about it on the show. They did it after the end of our show on Friday. But they talked about 5 teams in Major League Baseball who should be rebuilding right now. They should sell and they should be rebuilding. Here's the full clip from MLB Now. Here's Brian Kenny talking about it.
Why, I wonder, in this age of the Orioles, we're seeing this in real time. If I broaden it out more, I could give you a list of teams that aren't rebuilding, right? And the Orioles did a full rebuild, and it's paying off. Here are the teams that I say should be rebuilding, but are not. They're trying to, as I say, refuel the plane while it's in the air. Mets, Padres, Cardinals all got their comeuppance last year. All are sort of rebuilding, but not really. And the Red Sox are always sort of rebuilding, but not really. And you're kind of stuck in between. I know there's a wild card that you could grab now, and maybe you can get lucky. But wouldn't those teams be better off retrenching and coming back stronger in 3 years?
When I look at that list, I probably say one of those teams maybe who I would put on that list, and that's the St. Louis Cardinals, just for the fact that you're talking a little bit in that smaller market, mid-market team. It's a team that prides himself on player development and how
they
well
actually have the strongest position player base, I think, out of any of those teams.
Yeah,
What?
and lacking in the pitching department, so
True.
maybe you can trade some of those guys
What are you
away and load up
talking
your pitching
about?
staff, because as we're finding out in the first segment, pitching is a coin flip. Who's going to stay healthy and who's going to go out there and develop? Now, when I look at teams on there, the New York Mets should never be rebuilding. You are in New York City with
Oh my
Steve
God,
Cohen
give me a
as your
break.
owner with umpteen
Oh,
amounts
give me
of
a
money.
You
break.
can get on that
But-
treadmill and you
but
can
yes.
chasing it.
I got to pause it for a sec. Give me a break. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? St. Louis Cardinals got the best position group out of all 4 of those teams. No. New York Mets should never be rebuilding. Are you kidding me? Give me a break. Where's the show filmed? New York. Who's it catered to? New York. It's like nobody ever says the Yankees should rebuild. They're like, well, they got all this money. They're in a big market. You're in a big market. You gotta spend money all the time. We need a winner here. We're a winning town. We expect winners. What do you mean you expect winners? It's because you're a big town doesn't mean like, oh, you're a prestigious city. Oh, you expect winners. I hate when LA says that. Oh, we only support winners up here because we only win. Give me a break. Give me a break. I do agree with this guy. He's like, the Cardinals should be rebuilding. Yeah, mid-market. He didn't rope the Padres in that. That was kind of nice. The New York Mets should never rebuild. Give me a break. They suck. They need to rebuild right now. Terrible. They have the highest payroll in baseball, and they are terrible. That is a team that should rebuild. Let's hear what else they have to say.
It year after year and not quite getting there.
I understand that. So then that's on your scouting, that's on your general manager, whoever's putting that team together, because they have missed. Like I looked at it. So you had Edwin Diaz, you sign him back as, and to a big deal. He gets injured, okay, right? Francisco Lindor, he hit 30-30 last year. He had that rough start to his Mets career, but he's kind of turned around. Then you go like misses on starting pitchers, Verlander, Scherzer, you trade them away. Miss on Starling Marte. You miss on these free agents. Now all of a sudden that trickles down.
Right.
So you have to hit on them. You have to hit on those guys.
You hear what you're saying? It is the constant chase, the constant opportunity to keep spending money that gets you down that road. Now you start spinning your wheels.
Yep.
It didn't work because you have the opportunity to spend that money. Now David Stearns comes in, and I know he has the pressure of, I know we kind of want to win, but you know he'd rather rebuild, like and do it the quieter way. But in the big markets, I think it's a blessing and a curse. New York and Boston. They say you can't rebuild. I agree with that. You can, but there's a cost.
I actually agree with Brian Kenny there.
And come back stronger in 3 years. I think you spin your wheels more doing it this way.
Well, and also you can. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but if you hit with your free agents, then you allow those players that you've already drafted to develop in the minor leagues. Look at the Texas Rangers, for example, right? A couple years ago, they signed Corey Seager, big, huge deal. Marcus Semien, big deal. John Gray, they go out there. They don't win the World Series. They don't go to where they were looking to go. But what that did was it established now we can go out there and we can sign some more free agents and add those pieces via trade.
But they also were drafting they were doing a
but it allowed those guys to develop and come
well.
up, right? So those guys were able to develop a little bit. So when they do come up, the Evan Carters.
Right, so wait, just bottom line it. You're saying Padres and Mets and Red Sox, you agree with what they're doing?
I agree with philosophically as an organization. Otherwise, cool. You want to rebuild in those markets?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, okay, drop your ticket prices way down because I'm not going to sit here and pay for you to go and run out and basically tank. That's happened.
Hell, come on, Brian. Come on, dude. Understand the fan base here. I agree 100%. You're going to like tank to build this prospect base. Lower the ticket prices. What is Brian Kenny talking about? I do agree with the fact that he brought up the point where I said it's just like, New York and Boston and LA. I mean, those are markets that say you can never rebuild because you always have to be competing at a high level because it's big markets. They got to win. Rules for thee, but not for me. I mean, no. Call it as you see it or don't say it at all. You can't tell me that the Yankees and the Mets never should rebuild because they're in a big market. Don't tell me that. And then say all the small market teams need to rebuild by sending their players to the big market teams. No, absolutely not. See, this is where baseball loses people. This is where baseball is archaic. This is where baseball can't hang with the rest of the leagues because they do dumb things. This is dumb. Trying to make like 6 teams really good and everybody else non-existent does not make your product better. It makes it worse. I bring up the NFL all the time because the NFL is king. And I know a lot of people in town are still bitter about the NFL because they left. Look, I hate the Chargers too. They could kick rocks. That doesn't mean I hate football. That doesn't mean I hate the National Football League. The NFL does a lot of things right when it comes to entertainment. Do they treat their players very well? Probably not. The NFL Players Association, one of the worst unions out of all the unions. They do not treat their players well. I'm going to be the first one to say that. For an organization that makes the most out of any league in professional sports in America, they give their players the least amount of money. And it's not guaranteed. For a sport that you put your life on the line when you play it. But you know what they do well? They get the most entertainment out of their league every single year. They make every game important. They make every game most watched. They make every game have a storyline, and they do it with how they make their league. Salary cap. Everybody is competitive. When you enter the season in the National Football League, everybody has a chance. And that's not a cliche. I know it sounds like a cliche, but the fact of the matter, it's true. Everybody at the beginning of the season has a chance to win the Super Bowl. In Major League Baseball, there's probably 10 teams that have a chance to win the World Series, and the other 20 are just mulling around. That's a fact. So at the beginning of the season, every fan base is in. They're in on it. Now, with football, it's different because they don't play as many games, which is fine. So the baseball is never going to be able to replicate that. I do think Major League Baseball should probably cut down some of their games, but people love going to the games. Traditionalists will never do that. They make more money in the regular season than they do in the playoffs. I get on the monetary stand, but they're never going to do it. They should probably play 120 games at the end of the day, but I digress. So not only does every team have a chance going into the season, but with the salary cap, you can have the worst team in the league beat the best team in the league any given Sunday. Baseball's kind of like that because the sport is weird. Like you see it in the postseason. I mean, you could see time like the A's beat the Rangers this week 2 out of 3. Parity is great. I love parity. Give me new teams. Give me teams competing. Get everybody involved. No, Gefilte Fish, I disagree with you. Parity's great. If you just want to watch the same team win all the time, go watch the NBA. It's boring. Nobody cares. At some point, it gets ridiculous. Oh, look, the Warriors in the finals again. Nobody cares. Super teams and elite teams and like 5 teams being really good appeal to people that don't really like sports to begin with. That's my hot take. That's for people that are like, oh, look, I heard the Yankees are cool. They got a Tiffany and Company logo. I heard they're really good. I'm going to watch the game. No. Sports fans like parody. I like parody. It's better when teams can compete. It's better when every team can compete. So if you're Major League Baseball, you want as many teams to compete as possible. You want people engaged. You want people watching your sport. You want to have people at your games. You want packed houses on TV. That's what makes games exciting. There's nothing more boring than watching the Royals play the White Sox in front of 25 people at Guaranteed Rate Field in the south side of Chicago. Nobody cares. It's boring. There's no energy. There's no atmosphere. Padres, Dodgers in Los Angeles, full house. People are watching that. It's exciting. You put a big crowd there. You get people engaged. You get people to watch. How do you get bigger crowds? You have teams that try. You have teams that try to compete. That's what was so great about Peter Seidler owning the San Diego Padres. He went out there and put together a team that people were excited to get behind, and they're a competitive unit. I don't care. I mean, what was more exciting, Padres fans? Let me ask you this question. What is more exciting to you? The team that the Padres had in 2022, even 2021, when they didn't make the playoffs. What season and what team were you more excited to go watch? The 2021 Padres that ended up not making the playoffs, or the 2010 Padres that won 90 games and also didn't make the playoffs? What's more exciting? What encourages you to buy tickets? Stars. Guys like Fernando Tatis Jr. I'm buying season tickets and you got that guy on the team. Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. I'm buying tickets to watch those guys play. They're name guys. They're household name guys. You get the recognition. No offense to the 2010 Padres. And we have a member of that team that works on this staff in Tony Gwynn Jr. People are not buying tickets to watch the 2010 Padres. And they were good. It's not just winning baseball games. It's competing. It's showing that you have a chance. It's showing that you're putting your money where your mouth is. It's investing in your product. We've talked about this for a long time. There is a lot of organizations that don't want to win. We see that all the time. The Colorado Rockies do not want to win. The Colorado Rockies do not want to win. And they're boring. They have Chris Bryant, who's an aging veteran that made the mistake of signing there. He didn't realize how bad it was going to be. And that's it. They got an aging Charlie Blackmon. They have zero interest in winning. Oakland does not want to win. I mean, that's low-hanging fruit. Their owner wants to cash out, get a brand new stadium, run up the price tag of his organization that he paid probably not a lot of money for, sell it, make a fortune. They could be somebody else's problem. They don't want to win. They don't care. There's a lot of teams like that. So from this argument from Brian Kenny about like rebuild, nobody wants to see that. The long rebuild process. Has it worked for the Astros? It worked for the Astros. And until the Orioles start winning World Series like the Astros, it hasn't worked for them yet either. They just have some young players right now. It's not a guarantee. Teams that continually win have a good core group of guys, not too many. Some household or some homegrown names, some free agents, and some trades. They build around a core and they go for it, and they have a nice group of guys and they go win. That's what the Braves did. That's what the Dodgers did too. But they didn't need a full rebuild in order to do it. You could be successful at a full rebuild. And the fact that they said the Padres need a rebuild is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There needs to be parity in Major League Baseball. It would be so much more entertaining if there was parity in Major League Baseball. But there won't be because the top echelon players in Major League Baseball are making all the money. And they don't want to see their check get decreased, which, hey, you know what? That's their right. Baseball has the best players association in all of sports. The best deal playing baseball. Make good money. It's all guaranteed. Got a lot on your side. But to say that teams like the Cardinals and the Padres and the Red Sox and the Mets are kind of a disaster. They should probably rebuild. But to say those teams should all rebuild and not try when they have a good enough team to make the playoffs is asinine. Those are all playoff level teams. All those teams have the ability to make the playoffs. It's different if you're not going to even come close to the playoffs. It's time to rebuild and take everything off the ship. Anything that's not nailed to the ship is going overboard. Those are the really bad teams that aren't going to do it. Like the Marlins should just cut bait and get rid of everybody and start over, especially if they got rid of Kim Ng. Luis Ariz, Lazar, all those guys, gone. That makes sense to me. They're not competing at all. But the tweener teams that are riding the fence, that's where it gets hairy for me on the trade deadline, is when you got tweener teams that got really good players that decide we're going to get rid of everybody and we're going to tank for the future. We're going to trade for the future. No, if you're close, go for it. Go try to win. That makes baseball more competitive. That makes baseball more entertaining. That gets more people in the seats. I didn't even get to the fantasy and the betting aspect that the NFL is just so far above everybody else in professional sports. But that's another topic for another day. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. San Diego Padres. What has been the biggest difference between last year and this year, and why the Padres this year, despite having a lesser roster, will go further than last year? I'm going to tell you that when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, live and local, each and every Sunday morning from 8 to 10 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I feel bad for the YouTube peeps. All you watching on YouTube. Because I got some pretty good bumper music you guys are missing out on. Pretty good bumper music. Oh, Witch You. It's good stuff. YouTube misses out on the bumper music all the time because it flags our videos for content purposes. You're missing out on a good time. We see in some of the comments. Braden Surprenant Show live and local each and every Sunday morning from 8 to 10. Talking Padres baseball. Talking about relative sports topics that are relevant to San Diego. Yes, the Odyssey app is not working. That is a issue where it's still listed as Padres baseball, which means it's all jacked up. I don't have the I do not have the authorization to fix those things. So watch on YouTube, Luis, and I appreciate that. All of you guys watching on YouTube, haven't already, hit the like button on the video. Help the algorithmy things, as Annie likes to say, with the show. Thanks to all of you for chiming in today, being part of the chat. I've seen most of your comments on there. And I appreciate the collection of ideas. That's what makes a talk show, is all of us throwing together our opinions. And I might disagree with your opinions. Like I disagree with Gefilte Fish on here on a couple of things. But that's what makes a talk show. So you can join the show, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Oscar joined us earlier today. He wanted to see somebody on the Padres go out there and start a fight like a goon, like in hockey, to start today's game. Could you imagine on Sunday Night Baseball, just a brawl breaks out for the first pitch? Oh, man, I would imagine Major League Baseball would love that. Be hilarious. I talked about bullpens. Bullpens should never be involved in fights. And if there's any fight that breaks out in a baseball game and the bullpens run out, they should just run at each other. It's nothing more than I'd like to see at Petco Park, where the Padres get in a fight like the Dodgers, right? Like a scuffle, the bench is clear, and then the Padres bullpen just jumps into the opposing bullpen right behind them. And they just start a brawl out there. So you're watching like two fights at once. Like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That'd be hilarious. Will Smith's quote last night was pretty funny after the fight. Well, Jerickson Profar is irrelevant. Why say it? Why say it? Profar is going to hear it. Why say it? Why add fuel to your opponent's fire when you still got to play him again? Say that on Sunday after you don't have to play him. I don't get teams and players that give their opponents fuel for no reason. I mean, seriously, why say it? It's over with. Who cares? Fake tough guy mantra from these baseball guys, like talking about the other team in their post-game press conference. Yeah, he's irrelevant. You're asking for trouble. But that being said, you know what? I want to win today more than I want to hit Will Smith with a fastball. I don't really care that much. The only time where it makes sense is if the Padres have a lead, because I don't want it. I want to see the Padres win. I need to see Yu Darvish in the game for that to happen and not lose him. And then you're thinking like middle of the game, have a pitcher that isn't one of the best of the Padres slip one and then hit. I mean, it's just the throwing at guys. I'm all for protecting your players. If one of our guys gets hit, one of their guys probably needs to get hit. But in a rubber match game on Sunday Night Baseball, I'm not starting anything. I'm trying to get a win. I'll get him later. I want to get him on the scoreboard, in my opinion. That's my opinion. What has been the difference between Padres last year and the Padres this year? Because we have seen, try not to sneeze. We have seen the San Diego Padres in 2024 act like the San Diego Padres in 2023. We've seen that. We've seen a couple of clunker games that look like 2023. But what has been the biggest difference with this team? At least that I've noticed. Some of you in the chat when we were going to break was saying team chemistry, they're having fun again. That may be true, but I don't really think that is the biggest difference. I said this earlier in the season when we were talking about the way they were playing, and I said, and I quoted from it's a quote that's used all the time, but it's actually in the movie Remember the Titans, where Julius says, attitude reflects leadership. And so people are like, well, what are you saying about Manny? I'm not saying anything about Manny. I never said anything about Manny Machado. I was talking more from an organizational standpoint. Attitude reflects leadership. And I think a lot of times, and you see it in football, you see it in a lot of different sports, but the team usually reflects their manager, and they play into their manager. And I wasn't blaming Bob Melvin on that when I said that either. I mean, I said it was a front office thing. Bob Melvin and Mike Schilt, both veteran managers that have been very successful in Major League Baseball. I like Bob Melvin. He's a good manager. I'm not in this like once the guy leaves the Padres, we hate him for no reason. I'm not about that. I'm also not taking sides in the Bob Melvin, AJ Preller fiasco based on what I know, which is more information than what has been out there in the media. So that's not what I'm talking about. But I will say there are different styles of managing, and Bob Melvin's a more passive manager than Mike Schilt is. Mike Schilt is a gritty guy. I mean, I don't know why he got in trouble. When Randy Arozarena was a part of the Cardinals, they won that playoff game, and Mike Schilt was MF this and F that and F this and pulling a Mike Leach. FUFM, FE. That's the type of gritty guy that he is. This Padres team has been gritty, and they've been fiery, and they've played some hard-nosed baseball this week. We've seen times where they haven't, but what was the narrative during spring training? This team's going to play hard. They're going to steal bags. They're going to play some hard-nosed baseball, and we've seen some of that. I think that's been the biggest difference so far this year than last year. The biggest difference to me has been a gritty baseball team who is emulating their manager. Hard-nosed guy, tough hard-nosed guy, never out of it. About, almost comebacks like, well, they showed a lot of fight. I'm tired of listening to that press conference, but I tell you what, the way that they played on Monday and the way that they played on Friday and their ability to continue to fight is 10 times better than it was last year. 10 times better than it was last year. It's not even a question. I think a lot of that has to do with some of the young guys, too. I didn't want Jackson Merrill on this team at the beginning of the season because I didn't want the Padres to potentially ruin him and the future ceiling that he could potentially be just to fill a roster role. But I will say this about Jackson Merrill. One, he is doing a great job. And two, he's that young player, like a couple of young players on this team, that are trying to make a name for themselves and they don't care what anybody else thinks. And it's good to have those guys. I think Jackson Merrill's got a great confidence that borderlines arrogance, but he hasn't been an insufferable arrogant player to this point. He's been very confident. And with that comes a little bit of a spark like Fernando brings a spark. I think some of these other young players that are trying to make a name for themselves in this grittiness of not caring who the Dodgers are or what their uniform says and not caring what everybody else in Major League Baseball potentially thinks of them and not really reading the press clippings and not buying into themselves and just doing their own thing. That's been a major difference. You got a gritty, hard-nosed manager, Mike Schilt. You got some veteran leaders on this team that have been there and done that. They're embarrassed from last season. And you got some young players that are trying to show that they can hang in Major League Baseball. And it's not just Jackson Merrill. It's a lot of other players. I mean, say what you want about Tyler Wade. The guy's helped out the team offensively. He has better in the 9th spot than you got last year out of the team. And to be honest with you, as much as we look at the lineup and saw so many holes at the bottom half of the lineup, I would not really say you have automatic outs down there in the bottom half of the lineup. Is Tyler Wade going to be an all-star? No. But I tell you what, he's not an automatic out. He has helped out this team offensively. He has stolen bases. He has gotten some clutch knocks. Jackson Merrill's done that job. Luis Camposano's been outstanding. The only player that's really hurt you in the lineup has been Kyle Higashioka, and he hasn't really played that much. And in some of the games that he has played, had a good hit last night and clutch opportunity. Led a 2-out rally that ended up scoring a run to make the game close again, and had a home run in the other game. He's still at least contributing. Not a lot of automatic outs in this team right now, which is great to see. And guys are doing their job and continuing to do their job and pass the baton. You got to see more of that out of this team. I would like to see some of these guys not swing out of their shoes on some pitches, and I would like to see a little bit more situational awareness. I mean, last night, a walk, I think it was in the 8th inning, and then like Eggy Rosario first pitch, sweet. No, maybe it was like this. It was like this. It was before they got a hit. They got a leadoff walk to start the inning, and Eggy Rosario, after a leadoff walk, swung at the first freaking pitch. We got to have better situational awareness than that. Way more situational awareness than that. I mean, you can't have that. I understand being aggressive, but you have to be, there's a difference between being aggressive and being idiotic. And swinging in a first pitch after a walk is borderline idiotic. Come on. Professional baseball players. We need to take there. And here's the thing with baseball in general, and good teams do this. Good teams do this. Understand that good teams and good offenses can hit with 2 strikes. And have that confidence to know that you can hit with 2 strikes. Take a pitch. Take a pitch. Guy in front of you walks, take a pitch. You can hit with 1 strike. You can hit with 2 strikes. Take a pitch. It's okay. Good teams have the confidence that they know they can hit with 2 strikes, and they know they can score runs with 2 outs. We saw some of that last night with the Padres. We saw some of that with the Padres on Friday night. Having that sense of confidence at the plate. That's what good baseball teams do. That's what good offenses do. They have selfless at-bats. They grind out pitchers. They work counts. They have heads-up takes. Even if it's not that bad of a pitch, but they hunt fastballs in the zone, and they're good 2-strike hitters. Those are good offenses. Saw a little bit of that the last couple of days. Like to see the Padres continue that tonight. The Padres win the series in Los Angeles. We're going to talk more about baseball coming up on the final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Not too much. Braden Surprenant show live and local each and every Sunday on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Thanks again for making our morning a part of yours. The only downside of Sunday Night Baseball is we got a huge break between my show and the pregame show with Sam Levitt on the San Diego or the Eco Water SoCal San Diego Padres pregame show. That is the downside. So I'll watch other baseball. We got the Masters on, so I guess I can watch the Masters a little bit. I got MLB.TV, so I'm gonna throw on some baseball today. Do a little bit of grilling, having some buddies over for the game tonight. So I don't know if anybody out there knows. Anybody from the Palouse, the Pacific Northwest, that knows about Cougar Gold cheese? Anybody? Anybody in the chat know about that? Anybody out there and driving around? Cougar Gold cheese. It's like Washington State's university's like cheese. They got the little logo on the side and stuff. I don't know too much about it, but my buddy who went to Washington State, he I don't know. I guess they were in town. Washington State had something in town or something like that, and so he bought the $30 cheese, which is kind of like a cheddar cheese. And so he got the cheese, and we're like, "Oh, he's like, it's the greatest thing ever." It's like Cougar Gold's so good. I'm like, "All right." No Nate does not come with a Cougar. Cougar Gold cheese. You got get your heads out of the gutters. It's like the Washington State Cougars, by the way. And so we're like, well, what are we going to do with the Cougar Gold? And we're like, well, all three of us like buffalo chicken dip. So we're going to put it in the buffalo chicken dip that I'm going to smoke on the Traeger today. Oh, so good. You do some Cougar Gold. I'm going to smoke some chicken thighs today for the week, a little meal prep. And then some of that chicken's going to go into basically I'm putting it in a tin tray. Chicken, some Cougar Gold, some Colby Jack, a little bit of sour cream, ranch seasoning packet, some Frank's Red Hot, and I think I'm going to do one other cheese in there. Throw that on the smoker for like an hour, and then you pull it back out, mix it all up. Ah, delicious. Delicious. Have that with some Frito scoops. No, not blue cheese. You don't put blue cheese in that. There's one other cheese that I bought for that. Well, I do have some pepper jack, but I'm doing some burgers too. So we have we actually have a meat grinder at our house now. I haven't used it. So I was like, well, make some homemade burgers. So I got some, they're kind of like fancy burgers, but I'm going to go with some beef short rib. I already made them last night. Beef short rib meat, some top sirloin, and just a little bit. I don't want to do the whole 50-50 thing on the burger with the bacon, but just a little bit of cherry smoked bacon. Mix that in the meat grinder. Made the patties last night. We're going to put those on the grill. Got some Colby Jack or some pepper jack cheese to go with that. And I'm going to I'm an OG burger on sourdough bread instead of a bun today. So that will be the recipe. I guess the Masters have a signature cocktail, the Azalea. So anybody that wants to enjoy an Azalea, you probably have the ingredients for it. Vodka, lemonade, grenadine. Simple. Garnish with a lemon wheel and a cherry. Not bad. That might be the drink of choice today. Mix it with some other stuff. It's going to be great watching Sunday Night Baseball. It's a beautiful day this afternoon. Hopefully it warms up a little bit. It was a little chilly yesterday. But that's going to be my rest of the day since we got a lot of time to kill. You guys in the chat were killing me during the break, by the way. This debate between Nolan Arenado and Manny Machado. To my guy that thinks Nolan Arenado is way better than Manny Machado, bro, are you good? Are you good? Are you good? Whose man's is this in the chat saying that Nolan Arenado is way better than Manny Machado? Are you good? Go back to bed, sleep it off, wake up with some better takes. Are you good? Frigid. But that's what makes the talk show a talk show. Live engagement. Thanks to all of you on the chat. LOL bringing up stats. Come on, my guy. I know you're not talking about this year because he hasn't been off to a good start yet this year either. Go to bed. Seek some help. Wake up with a new attitude. You need to sleep it off for 24 hours. He's not way better than Manny Machado. I would rather have Manny Machado anyway. Nolan Arenado makes good plays at third base, but he makes it look so difficult, where Manny makes every play look so smooth. Nolan Arenado's way, way better. Give me a break. Go back to bed. Maybe he hasn't had his coffee yet. He's a little groggy this morning. But that's what makes a talk show a talk show. And I really appreciate all you guys chiming in today. Thanks again for giving me a like on YouTube. If you haven't done it yet, hit the like button on YouTube. You can follow me on all social media accounts at B_SURP, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube at BSURP as well. And I'm also on TikTok for a couple of other videos on there as well. Really appreciate you guys joining us today. Padres baseball tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. Hopefully the Padres could take 2 out of 3 in LA. It's be the second consecutive series in LA that the Padres would win if they win tonight. As crazy as that sounds. As crazy as that sounds. So I'd love to be able to see that today. It's always great on Sunday Night Baseball to see the Padres do well, and hopefully they can have that grit tonight. Darvish, I'd like to see Darvish go out there and shove against the Dodgers. Did a pretty good job in the first game at Korea. He only went 3 innings, though. He had a high pitch count, trying to bounce back from the last outing he had against the Cubs, which wasn't very good, and hopefully he can handle the vibes at Dodger Stadium where the Padres can get a W. I mean, that puts them back on track. I mean, you play 500 ball, these first couple of months, as we mentioned, you're going to be in really good shape. Pre-game coverage of tonight's game will start at 3:10 p.m. Pacific time on the EcoWater SoCal San Diego Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt. First pitch will be at 4:10. Game's on ESPN, and should be a fun time at Dodger Stadium. Padres looking for a series win. That'll do it for me. Thanks again for joining us today. I'm Braden Surprenant signing off. See you guys next week on the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every Sunday from 8 to 10 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.